Seeking English, S.A.T. Workbook, page 417, problem 3. No calculator. There's another graph that I'm not going to show you. I will describe it, though. It says number of staplers in thousands, and it shows the years. 1991, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, 1996, and 1997. With amounts on the graph ranging from somewhere above 10 to somewhere over 30. Okay? And this I'm going to refer to as the stapler problem in order to distinguish it from the tennis ball problem. And when we get to the tennis ball problem, I'm going to mention the stapler problem again, because visually they are similar, but in terms of what you need to do to get to the correct answer, if you do exactly the same thing in both cases, you're going to get one of them wrong. They are not really the same problem twice. They're not. Okay, it says, the bar graph above shows the number of staplers produced by a factory for the years 1991 through 1997. For which of the following 3-year periods is the average arithmetic mean of that period closest to the production in 1992? Choices are 91 through 93, 92 through 94, 93 through 95, and 95 through 97. It's pretty straightforward, except is it? Well, it may seem straightforward to you, or it may not. If it does not, that is okay. I'm still going to help you through it. Okay, it says 1992 is your reference year. Now that amount shows at just under 20. The specific amounts don't matter that much. It's the comparative sizes of these histograms that matter. If 1992 is your base year, okay, and you are looking for a 3-year period, okay, that is similar, that averages out to that year. Your first instinct should be, if it's a 3-year period, it could potentially include that year, okay, and it could include a year where there's more production and a year where there's less production. That would bring you somewhere into the neighborhood, okay. So so what are your choices? 1990 is not on the graph, so you wouldn't include 1992 in that way. 1991 through 1993 includes 1992. 1991 is above 1992, and 1993 is below 1992. So that makes it a viable answer if there's nothing to compete with it. It has the basic shape of something that should be the correct answer. Second option, 1992 to 1994, includes 1992. And it has 1993 is lower, as we said before. 1994 is higher, but the gap between 1992 and 1994 is disproportionate to the gap between 1992 and 1993. It's a comparatively larger gap. If you look at 1991 and 1993, they're comparatively close to 1992 in terms of their scores. The gap above and below is a similar gap. 1994 does not follow that pattern, so it is comparatively dissimilar. Okay, if you could bring 1994 down to 1991, it would be a better match. So it matches the pattern I described in terms of having essentially the correct shape, but it's a little bit imbalanced compared to the previous answer. Look at it carefully. Make sure that you understand what I'm talking about if you can see the graph. If you can't see the graph, watch the video a couple of times and try to imagine what it looks like, try to draw it. Okay? Years 1993 through 1995 has a potential disadvantage that it does not include 1992. Okay? But it could still be the best answer if the numbers just happen to flush out correctly. But they don't, for this reason. The mismatch between 1993 and 1994 in terms of the distance from 1992 is only greater when you replace 1992 with 1995. 1995 is higher, again, by a similar amount to that gap. So you have two very high scores and a low score. So although it's a viable shape, in principle, the numbers themselves don't match because of the way the gaps fail to balance each other out. Okay, 1995 through 1997, you notice we skipped 94 for some reason. Really? 1995 through 1997 has 1997 looks like it's a little bit lower than 1992, but not by much. And those two other scores are higher. So that kind of does not really match. It's more of a visual mismatch compared to the basic shape that I suggested that you look for. Okay, now remember, you don't have to include the reference year. for it to be the correct answer. But it's a good thing to look for because it's an easier way to rule out those other two scores. Okay, if your group of 3 years includes the reference year, then the gap above and below to be a good match to produce an average similar to that reference year. Those gaps should be similar in size, and the only group of 3 years for which that is really true is 91 through 93. Take your time, look at it again. Okay, if you're not good at this, you can get better at it, and if you are better at it, you can become spectacularly quick at it, as I like to believe I have.